Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered why some women make a man stop in his tracks, throw caution to the wind, and risk everything just to be with them? What if I told you there's one key mindset, one subtle behavior that can unlock a man's deepest desire to fight for you, to protect you, to prioritize you above all else? And it's not about chasing him. It's not about playing games. And it's not even about looks. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover the hidden truth that separates women men crave from women men overlook. And once you understand this, everything about how he sees you, values you, and fights for you will change forever. Ladies, let me tell you something that most people don't want to admit. Men will risk everything for a woman, but not for every woman. Not just for someone who is convenient or someone who compliments them in a superficial way. No, men will risk their comfort, their security, even their pride for a woman who makes them feel a very specific combination of emotions, desired, challenged, and inspired. And the amazing thing is, this is not about manipulation. It's not about playing games. It's about understanding a fundamental truth about human connection. You see, a man's drive to risk everything comes from feeling like he has something worth protecting, someone worth showing his courage for, someone who ignites a spark in him that he cannot ignore. And that spark doesn't come from constantly chasing him, from giving him all the answers, or from being predictably available. It comes from being magnetic. It comes from being a woman who knows her own worth, who values herself enough to set boundaries, and who can hold space for him without losing herself in the process. Imagine this. You meet a man and he likes you. He likes you enough to text, to call, to plan dates. But that alone doesn't make him willing to risk what matters to him for you. That alone doesn't make him willing to fight for you, to invest in you, to put himself on the line emotionally, financially, and sometimes even socially for the sake of your connection. What triggers that deep primal drive in him is something subtle, but incredibly powerful. It's when you create a sense of value around yourself that he cannot replicate anywhere else. I'm not talking about superficial value. I'm talking about a deeper magnetic value that comes from self-respect. It comes from living a life that is full, exciting, and ambitious on your terms. A man will risk everything when he believes you're someone who would stand by him, but also someone who would challenge him. Someone who doesn't just agree with everything he says. Someone who has her own mind, her own goals, and her own fire. He's drawn to that energy because it makes him feel alive. It makes him feel that the connection he has with you is rare. And when a man believes something is rare, he fights for it. He risks everything to keep it. Here's the thing. Many women sabotage this without even realizing it. They become too available. They over-communicate. They give all of their time and energy too quickly. They show a man their hand before he even has the chance to play his cards. And what happens? The spark disappears. There's no challenge. There's no desire. And the thing that could have been worth risking everything for suddenly feels like it's ordinary, replaceable, or easily attainable. But when you understand how to balance warmth with independence, interest with intrigue, affection with boundaries, something magical happens. A man starts to see you not just as someone he likes, but as someone he truly values. And when he values you, he starts to take risks. He starts to step outside his comfort zone. He starts to invest more of himself than he ever thought he would. He'll stay late to help you. He'll make sacrifices he didn't think he was capable of. He'll step up in ways that prove he sees you as worth it. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about testing him with games or playing hard to get in a manipulative way. That's not what creates true, lasting desire. It's about understanding a core principle. Men want to feel that their actions matter, that their courage and commitment are necessary. If a man feels like you don't need him, like your life is complete without him, he may initially be drawn to your independence, but he may not risk everything because he feels unnecessary. The trick is to create a balance where he knows you're independent, confident, and self-sufficient, but also knows that your connection is meaningful, valued, and emotionally significant. When he senses that he could lose you, not because you're punishing him, but because you live your life fully and authentically, he feels compelled to take risks. Think about it in a different context. Imagine a man's work, his career, or his reputation. He doesn't put everything on the line for something ordinary, right? He reserves his boldest moves for projects, people, or opportunities that feel extraordinary. A woman who knows her worth becomes that extraordinary. Or him. She becomes someone for whom the risks are worth taking because the reward is meaningful. The reward isn't just sex or attention or convenience. It's connection, it's intimacy, it's a bond that is rare and deeply satisfying. And here's the beautiful thing, when you cultivate that energy, when you become a woman who embodies self-respect, intrigue, and warmth, the dynamic of your connection changes. You stop needing to chase. You stop worrying if he'll commit, if he'll call, or if he'll show up. Because he will. Not because you begged, pleaded, or manipulated him, but because he wants to. Because he sees that your life is full, vibrant, and rewarding. And he wants to be a part of it. He wants to risk discomfort, inconvenience, and challenge to be with you. And the truth is, he will risk more for a woman who inspires him to be his best than he ever will for a woman who simply waits passively for him to prove himself. So, what does this actually look like in practice? It's about creating an aura of self-worth and curiosity. It's about living a life that is full of experiences, friendships, and passions that excite you, while also leaving space for him to contribute meaningfully. It's about being affectionate without being desperate, engaged without being clingy, and interested without being overbearing. It's about showing him that he has value in your world, but that your world does not revolve around him. You will notice something fascinating. When you do this, the more you cultivate your own life, the more he steps up. The more you make yourself someone he admires and respects, the more he takes risks to protect, invest in, and pursue you. And those risks aren't forced or artificial. They come from his natural desire to fight for something that matters. Because deep down, every man wants to be seen as capable, brave, and heroic. And when he sees that you are someone extraordinary, someone rare, someone who truly challenges and inspires him, he will rise to meet that challenge. He will risk comfort, routine, even fear of rejection to be with you. This is the hidden truth that most people don't teach you. Men risk everything not for the woman who makes it easy for them, but for the woman who makes them feel like the best version of themselves. And the amazing part is, you don't have to try to force this or manipulate it. You simply have to embody your worth, your independence, and your desire to be with someone extraordinary, not just anyone. When you do that, everything changes, the dynamic flips. You are no longer chasing, he is, and he is willing to put it all on the line because he finally sees someone who is worth it. The key takeaway is simple. Cultivate a life that is magnetic, not needy. Show him warmth, but don't sacrifice your boundaries. Be interested, but don't make yourself too available. Challenge him, but also inspire him. When you do this, you are no longer just a woman he likes. You become the woman he would risk everything for. And here's the deeper layer that many women overlook. It's not just about creating desire or admiration. It's about creating an emotional ecosystem where he feels safe to be vulnerable, yet challenged to grow. Men take risks when they feel that their actions will have impact, that what they do matters. If he senses that his efforts won't be seen or appreciated, or worse, that they are expected, he may hesitate. But when he senses that his courage, his initiative, and even his occasional failures can be witnessed and valued by you, something shifts. He doesn't just want to be with you, he wants to be brave for you. Think about this in everyday terms. It's the little moments that signal this dynamic. When he goes out of his way to show up, to plan something thoughtful, to make sacrifice, that are outside his comfort zone, and you respond with genuine appreciation, you reinforce that his actions matter. And here's the thing, it's not about praising him excessively or making him feel indebted. It's about acknowledgement, about showing him that his energy and his courage are meaningful. That's what ignites the desire to risk more, to step further out of his comfort zone. Men respond to purpose. They respond to significance. And when you make him feel like his connection with you is significant, you unlock a level of investment that is rare and powerful. Many women fall into the trap of thinking that to make a man risk everything, they have to be mysterious or untouchable. But the truth is far more nuanced. It's not about being cold, distant, or withholding affection to test him. That only creates confusion and resentment. Instead, it's about intentionality. It's about selectively allowing him in, rewarding effort, and showing that the connection is meaningful, but never taking for granted the fact that your time, attention, and heart are valuable. When you embody that, he senses the stakes. He senses that this is not casual, not disposable, and not negotiable. And when he senses that, he takes risks. You can see this pattern in all kinds of successful relationships. The men who rise to extraordinary levels of commitment, who make sacrifices that are uncomfortable or even scary, do so not for someone who simply says yes to everything. They do it for someone who inspires them, who respects them, and who challenges them to be more than they were yesterday. It's the same principle in relationships as it is in business, in art, in sports. A man's willingness to risk everything is directly proportional to how much he perceives the value of what is at stake, and that value is tied to you, your energy, and the life you lead. Here's another aspect that is often underestimated: confidence. And I don't mean superficial confidence like wearing makeup or dressing well, although those things can help create first impressions. I mean deep, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and what you will not compromise on. A man will risk far more for a woman who radiates that kind of self-assurance, because it signals stability, authenticity, and rarity. When he sees that you have standards, that you don't settle, and that you are living a life that is vibrant and full on your own terms, he feels compelled to rise to the occasion. He wants to meet you in that energy. He wants to be someone worthy of your standards. Now, some women might think, if I'm so confident and independent, won't that intimidate him? And yes, it can. Intimidate a man who is not ready to step up. But that's exactly the point. You don't want a man who isn't ready to take risks. You want a man who is willing to stretch beyond his comfort zone, to show courage, to prioritize you when it matters, and to fight for a connection that is real and substantial. Confidence does not push the right man away, it filters out the wrong ones and magnetizes the right ones. And the right man will risk everything to be a part of your life because he sees the magnitude of what you represent. Let's talk about another dimension: emotional reciprocity. Men risk everything when they know that their vulnerability will be met with understanding, not judgment, that their honesty will be appreciated, not dismissed, that their courage to open up emotionally, to invest financially, socially, or time-wise will be recognized and honored. Emotional reciprocity doesn't mean giving blindly or putting his needs above your own. It means creating a space where the bond is balanced, where both of you contribute meaningfully, and where both of you are growing through the connection. When you cultivate this kind of emotional ecosystem, you don't have to chase. You don't have to persuade him to invest. He will naturally want to. Here's the subtle but powerful distinction. It's not about control. It's about presence, about being fully yourself, fully engaged, and fully aware of the value you bring to the relationship. When a woman is present in this way, she becomes magnetic, not manipulative. Men feel it. They feel that being with you is not just enjoyable, but essential. And essential is the magic word. Essential means that it's worth facing fears, discomfort, and risk. Essential means that he sees that the connection could transform him, elevate him, or bring meaning to his life that he can't get anywhere else. And when a man perceives something as essential, he becomes willing to risk what's familiar, what's comfortable, and even what's safe. Let's consider the idea of challenge again, because it's critical. A man never risks everything for a woman who makes things easy for him all the time. He risks for the woman who makes him want to be better, who inspires him to think bigger, act bolder, and rise above mediocrity. Challenge does not mean conflict or drama. It means that your presence in his life encourages growth, reflection, and courage. When a man sees that your connection is not just a pastime but a platform for growth, for him and for the relationship, he will invest in ways that are extraordinary. And this is why patience is crucial. Women often expect a man to instantly recognize their worth, to immediately risk everything. But real investment takes time. It grows when he repeatedly experiences your value. The way you support without smothering, the way you inspire without manipulating, the way you challenge without criticizing. Each of these moments adds weight to the connection, and eventually it reaches a tipping point where the man is willing to step into bold, risky territory. Not because he's forced, not because he's guilted, but because he genuinely sees the magnitude of what's at stake. Now, there's one final element that ties all of this together: authenticity. You cannot fake this energy. You cannot pretend to be confident, independent, and magnetic just to make him risk everything. The truth is, the men who are willing to risk everything for a woman are responding to her authentic presence. They are drawn to the real, unpolished, unapologetic version of you, the version that knows her worth, expresses her needs, and navigates life with courage and integrity. Authenticity amplifies every other principle we've discussed: confidence, challenge, emotional reciprocity, and magnetic value. Without it, no amount of strategy will work. But with it, the right man will naturally want to step up, to invest, and to risk everything, because he senses that what he is stepping into is rare, valuable, and worth every ounce of effort. When you combine confidence, authenticity, emotional reciprocity, challenge, and magnetic presence, you create a dynamic that is irresistible to the right man. He doesn't just like you. He doesn't just enjoy being around you. He wants to fight for you, to protect you, to prioritize you, and to risk his comfort and certainty for the connection he shares with you. And the extraordinary part is that this doesn't require manipulation, games, or trying to force desire. It's simply about embodying your worth, living your life fully, and creating space for him to rise to the occasion. This is why the women who understand this principle have relationships that are transformative, passionate, and enduring. They are not with men who merely tolerate them. They are with men who see them as worth everything. And the men who do this are not perfect. They are human, fallible, and occasionally hesitant. But they are willing to step beyond their fears and limits because they have sensed the extraordinary in her. And they know that risking everything is not reckless. It is necessary. And once you truly grasp this, you start to understand a principle that changes everything about relationships. Men risk everything for women who are not just present, but magnetic in a multi-dimensional way. It's not simply about looks or charm or even the way you make him feel in the moment. It's about creating a life and a presence that is irresistible because it signals that you are rare, that you are someone worth stepping out of comfort zones for, and that you are someone who inspires him to be the best version of himself. Think about how risk works in a man's life outside of our relationships. A man will take risks when he sees value and reward that is proportional to the challenge. He will push himself beyond what he thought possible when the stakes are meaningful. Apply that same principle to love. A man will risk rejection, inconvenience, and even vulnerability when the reward is meaningful. And here's the kicker. The reward is not simply being with you. It is being seen by you, being needed in a way that matters, and being part of a life that is extraordinary. That is what triggers the kind of risk-taking that transforms casual affection into unwavering commitment. It's crucial to understand that this dynamic is psychological, not superficial. Men are wired to protect, provide, and rise to challenges. But these impulses are only triggered under specific conditions. If a woman is constantly available, constantly agreeable, and constantly removing barriers, those impulses never activate. He may like her, he may enjoy her company, but he will not risk his comfort or security for her. On the other hand, when a woman creates subtle boundaries, maintains her independence, and demonstrates that her attention is valuable, he begins to perceive her as rare, as a prize worth the effort, as someone worth the risk. You see, the key is in balancing warmth and challenge. Many women either go too far toward warmth, becoming overly accommodating, or too far toward challenge, becoming cold and inaccessible. The most magnetic women, the ones for whom men are willing to risk everything, walk a fine line. They are warm, but they are not needy. They are approachable, but they are not predictable. They are affectionate, but they never lose themselves in their desire for him. This balance signals to a man that the connection he has with you is both fulfilling and consequential. And when he senses that, he becomes willing to step into the unknown, to invest more of himself, and to risk failure because the potential reward, your love, your presence, your partnership, is worth it. Let's get into the emotional component, because this is often overlooked. Men take risks when they feel safe enough to be vulnerable, but challenged enough to grow. This is where emotional intelligence comes into play. When a woman can hold space for a man's vulnerabilities without judgment, when she can challenge him to rise to his potential without criticism, she creates an environment where risk feels not only possible, but necessary. He starts to see that by stepping up, he is not just proving himself to her, he is becoming a better version of himself. And that is powerful. That is transformative. That is the energy that makes a man willing to risk comfort, routine, and even fear to be fully present with you. Now, another layer to this is anticipation. Humans are wired to value things that are uncertain yet achievable. When a man feels that a woman is always accessible, that her affection is guaranteed, that her attention requires no effort, the emotional and psychological triggers that motivate risk don't activate. Desire diminishes. But when a woman balances availability with autonomy, interest with independence, warmth with boundaries, she creates an ecosystem of anticipation. She becomes someone a man wants to pursue, not someone he simply has. And a man who is pursuing, who is actively trying to earn your presence, is a man who is willing to take risks because every effort is imbued with meaning. Consider this in practical terms. When he goes out of his way to do something meaningful for you, a simple acknowledgement of his effort, expressed naturally, not excessively, reinforces the pattern. It shows him that his courage and initiative are recognized, appreciated, and significant. This is where so many women fail. They either overreact, which can make the gesture feel transactional, or they underreact, which can make it feel meaningless. The key is balanced acknowledgement, subtle, genuine, and meaningful. When you get this right, men do not hesitate to invest further, to step further, to risk more, because they feel that their efforts are making a difference in a connection that is rare and precious. Let's talk about standards, because standards are a magnet for risk-taking. Men will risk everything for women who hold clear, non-negotiable standards, not as a form of punishment, but as a signal of value. Standards communicate that you respect yourself, that your time, energy, and love are not freely disposable, and that you expect a man to bring his best self to the table. This creates a dynamic where he is motivated to rise to the occasion. It's not coercion, it's inspiration. When a man knows that the woman he desires will only accept genuine effort, integrity, and courage, he is compelled to give his all. The risk becomes a necessary part of proving himself worthy of someone who is extraordinary. Another often underestimated principle is independence. A woman who has a life that is full, exciting, and meaningful on her own terms automatically generates respect and admiration. Men are drawn to women who are complete in themselves because it signals that their connection is not based on neediness or dependency. It's based on mutual respect, attraction, and choice. Independence does not mean shutting him out. It means living your life fully while inviting him to be part of it. This subtle energy creates a powerful dynamic. He feels drawn to contribute, to protect, and to take risks because he senses that he is joining something rare and valuable rather than filling a void. And let's address authenticity again, because nothing else works without it. A man will risk everything for a woman who is unapologetically herself, who does not compromise her values or pretend to be someone she is not. Authenticity signals that the connection he is stepping into is genuine, not fabricated, and that the emotional and psychological investment he makes will be met with realness, not superficiality. This authenticity, combined with independence, challenge, emotional intelligence, and anticipation, creates a magnetic force that makes a man willing to put himself on the line. Finally, let's talk about patience and timing. Many women expect instantaneous recognition, immediate risk-taking, and fast commitment. But men often need to experience the full spectrum of your presence, the warmth, the challenge, the authenticity, the independence, before they are willing to risk everything. This is why patience is a form of power. When you do not rush, when you allow the connection to develop organically, you create a psychological and emotional framework in which a man chooses to take bold action. He does it not because he feels pressured, but because he genuinely recognizes the value of what he could lose. When you integrate all of these principles, Magnetism, challenge, warmth, authenticity, independence, emotional intelligence, patience, and standards. You create a dynamic that is irresistible. A man does not just like you. He does not merely enjoy being with you. He wants to protect you, to invest in you, and to risk his comfort and certainty to be fully present in your life. He becomes willing to go further than he ever thought possible because he sees that you are rare, valuable, and extraordinary, and that losing you would mean losing something irreplaceable. This is the hidden truth that transforms relationships, from ordinary to exceptional. Men do not everything for women who make it easy. They risk everything for women who make it meaningful. They risk everything for women who inspire them to be better, to act boldly, and to step out of their comfort zones. And when you understand and embody this principle, you are no longer chasing, pleading, or hoping for effort. He will show up naturally. He will rise. He will risk. And he will do it not because you demanded it, but because he recognized the profound value of what he has in you.